Okay, so I've mentioned before, like when you are someone who cuts your hair short and then it grows, when it starts growing out, and this only works if you're like cut your hair short. I don't mean like, oh, my hair is so short. I mean short, okay? But there's this, and I mentioned this before, like every 2 weeks you get a new hairstyle because every 2 weeks your hair is like a different length. And so some weeks you will have just unruly, annoying hair because it's like too long and too short all at once. And that's where my hair has been the last 2 weeks. But now we're coming up and I really, really like the length that it's at right now. I really like this length. I did blow dry it. Yeah, that's right. So I don't know what it looks like air dried yet because I haven't done that. But yeah, it's fun. Cut your hair short and deal with the awkward moments of like having a hairstyle that's too long and too short all at once. But then in 2 weeks, it'll be a different length and you'll be like, oh yeah, I like this. So anyway, happy second week of January. Except for you, it's probably the 3rd week of January, unless you're watching this much farther than after I uploaded it, in which case, happy whenever your life is. I made the really frustrating decision to temporarily stop working because of what's going on with my heart until I can see the cardiologist or until I start, whichever comes first. Either the 2 weeks go by and I see a cardiologist, or if in the next couple, or if before then I start to feel much improvement, then I'll go back. But I'm feeling really bad. And I'm really freaked out about COVID right now, like more so than ever, because I'm like, if there is something wrong with my heart and I get COVID, like COVID's gonna kill me, just like straight up. Like that seems to be a very common thing, is if you have heart issues and you get COVID, you're done. So that's scary, very scary. Like I'm the type of person where if I just pass away very suddenly, if I don't wake up the next morning and just pass away in my sleep, I'm okay with that. I'm like, that doesn't scare me at all. Like that, it really doesn't. What scares me is suffering. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to have like some long drawn out suffering or like emergency situation. I don't want to deal with any of that. I'm being very dramatic right now, I know. But it's because I feel awful, and we're 2 years into this pandemic and we're all still fighting about what we should be doing and caring about. So like I saw someone yesterday on Instagram that I know in real life that was like she was like, I deserve to breathe, talking about like she shouldn't have to wear a mask because she deserves to breathe. And I'm like, cool, very cool. Oh, my heart rate is at 104 right now. So I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna drink some cacao, and I am going to just work on radical acceptance. That right now in this moment, I'm okay. I have a safe place to live. I have food to eat. I am not in an emergency situation. If there is something wrong with my heart, then we'll deal with it. If there's not something wrong with my heart, then that's really frustrating too, because then it's like my PCP is like, I'll have to send you to an endocrinologist because that seems like the next. So I'm grateful that my PCP is at least thinking ahead. It's one of those things, like if you've dealt with chronic illness, especially like having to wait to find out like what's wrong. And I've experienced this before too, like before my Lyme diagnosis, when I was just passed back and forth to different doctors, and like on one hand you don't want something to be wrong, you know, but on the other hand it's like I really want to feel better. So in order to feel better, something has to be going on. We have to find what's going on. And I don't know, right now it's kind of like bringing up a lot of past trauma, like medical trauma stuff, because I remember being told so many times, like, come back to see me if it gets worse, like by doctors that have just don't know what's going on and don't want to really look into it, because they look at me and I look fine. But you can't tell how someone's feeling just by looking at them. I don't know why doctors, so anyway. I'm just frustrated that I'm kind of back in the same place that I've been before. And I'm like, is this all my life is ever gonna be? Where I get like these glimpses in between where I feel like, okay, I can like work, do something I love, start making money, but then my health. Okay, I'm just rambling, I'm sorry. Let's make some cacao. So good, so yummy. I really filled it to the brim, didn't I? I'm gonna finish this book today. Less than 100 pages left. I have 70 pages left, so I'm gonna finish this book today, and I will say I like it. It's cute. It's very, very cute. But it's 100 pages too long. Like, it's just, like, too much gets explained. The author describes things too much for my liking. Like, I know that, like, at the beginning of a book, when you want to get to know a character, or characters, I should say, it's good. World building, good. I get it. But eventually, it's like, I get it. And I think that it just drags the story on when it could be cut down by like 100 words. I think it's 100 words too long. It's good though. It's cute. It's still only a 4 out of 5, and we'll see how it wraps up in the next 70 pages, and then I'll come back and let you know my final thoughts. Okay, so all right, I have finished One Last Stop. It maintained a 4 out of 5 rating the whole time. I have learned that I don't really like romance novels at all. Like this, there was more than just romance, but there was just so much romance, and I just get so bored with it. I'm like, I get it, they love each other. Like, I get it. And so like literally like the last chapter I just skimmed, because so much of it was just like more and more descriptions of how they love each other, and I'm bored. I'm done. Once like the big main plot line was resolved and figured out, I was like, cool, I know how it ends. I don't really care to keep reading about how these two people love each other. But that's on me. Obviously, if you are a romance novel fan, then you'd like it. I will say, like, the overall storyline, like, what they're working towards is interesting. It was interesting. I did enjoy it. I did. But like I said, I think it feels like 100 pages too long for me personally. It would be better with some edits, but that's just me. Now I'm deciding on, like, what I'm gonna read next. I think I'm going to start The Nightingale, just because it's the most different than the other books. Like, A Marvelous Light, I'm pretty sure is also a love story, though, I mean, that's got magic in it. So yeah, I think I'm going to start The Nightingale. The length of it, the size, the girth of this book is intimidating, I'm not going to lie. The book I just finished was like 409 pages, and this one is 560 pages. Oh, and I just read the very last sentence. I hate when I do that. I hate that, but that's okay. It's fine. I'll give this a try. The person that I saw recommend this is someone I follow on Instagram, which I mentioned. She's a mom, and I think she listens to it. I think she listens to books like while she's exercising and stuff. Not that that matters. This says, An Unforgettable Portrait of Love and War. The length is so intimidating, but I'm going to give it a shot. The next book that I mentioned that I was going to read was The Nightingale, but I just, didn't have the desire to, pick it up and start reading it. And I'm not the kind of person that can immediately jump into another book after I finish one. I need, 12 hours at least to, digest, right? But even by, the next day, I still wasn't, desiring to pick up and read The Nightingale. So I was like, okay, Lizzie, which one do you really want to read? So I started reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I think I'm 100 pages in. I'm 118 pages in, and I like it. I definitely like it. It's a fun read for me. I like reading about someone who you already know how it ends up. You already know how she ends up, because Evelyn Hugo is an old woman, very successful, old, Hollywood, she's technically new Hollywood in the book, but at the start of the book, she's old, right? And so it's I like knowing how she ends up without knowing yet, how she got there. And I know I said in the last book that, I'm so tired of romance, which is true. And this is about, 7 relationships, but it's about a lot more, and also not all of her relationships were very romantic, obviously, because it's Hollywood. But I like it. I like Evelyn. I like the setup of it. So far, I'm really liking it. It's currently at a 4 out of 5. It will probably also maintain a 4 out of 5. We'll see. Okay, this book just got a whole lot more interesting. I won't spoil it as to why, but maybe this is going up to a 5. Maybe. It's definitely a 4.5. And I'm not even halfway through the book yet. But if you know, you know. So I finally got one of those pill bottle timer things, because this medication I take twice a day, every day. And if I miss it, it's kind of a big deal. I'll feel it. Whereas, my supplements, not important, definitely important. But if I miss a dose, it's, not that big of a deal. But I had noticed that I had been, I can't remember if I took it or not. I couldn't remember if I had taken it or not. So I finally bought, a pill bottle timer. So it shows you when you last opened it. So I just took it. I just opened it, which means I just took it. So I think that's really going to help. The only thing I don't like is that you have to put it in this bottle, so it doesn't have, information about what it is. I don't like that, but it's fine. The other thing, I really have to water my plants today. It's been, I think, 6 weeks or so since I've watered my plants, aside from the 2 that get watered more often. But but it's winter, so it's really not that big of a deal that they haven't been watered. I've purposefully gone longer, but I didn't realize that it had been 6 weeks. Now, granted, I, had that bad head cold. Now, granted, I had that bad head cold and then have just generally been feeling a lot worse than I normally do. So I think that's part of it. But anyway, so I'm going to water my plants. And then I think I'm also, when it's sunning out, because the sun is still coming up, and it's kind of cloudy. But when the sun is out later, I'm going to take some of them out so they get direct sunlight and see if that helps. I'm really only worried about this one. I don't know why, but she doesn't look too bad, I guess, but this side that doesn't get any sun has really like thinned out. So I think she needs some sunlight. But everyone else is doing just fine. They're all thriving and doing fine. But I still think they would probably all like to be out in the sun for a little bit today. So hopefully we get some sunshine today. Then we've got this little baby who is struggling. Poor little baby. Hopefully she perks up a bit. Then the money tree plant, which looks great, but figured, you know, she could probably enjoy some sun. And then the gardenias, which definitely want sun, but don't really ever get any. I finished it. It was so good. 5 out of 5. Highly recommend The 7 Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo. I really liked it. I liked it more than I ever thought that I was going to. I didn't know anything about it going in. I had just seen people like on Instagram be like, I'm reading this and I really like it. And that's all I knew going in. Out of the 3 books that I've read so far this year, this one is the one that I say read. It's really good. And it's not that long. So you know, this author knows how to edit, okay? And it was closer to 400 pages. Yeah, it's 385. So closer to 400 pages, but didn't feel a tad bit too long at all. I really hope, and I hope that they make this into a movie, but only if they use actors who are aligned with the characters. I don't want to spoil anything. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. You probably don't if you've not read the book. Another thing I want to say about the book. So in the book before last, One Last Stop, one of the comments I had about it was that it was too full of romance for my liking. And then I feel like I said this, maybe I didn't, but I'm pretty sure I did. As I was reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like early on, I had mentioned that even though it was about like her 7 husbands, there wasn't very much romance in it, which is true. It was a love story. There was a lot of talk about love, but there wasn't like it wasn't like overpowering. It didn't get repetitive, okay? But I will say that towards the end of the book, there is like maybe 2 pages of something very romantic. And I don't know if because it took place towards the end when I'm like wanting it to end, not so much wanting it to end, but like wanting to know how it ends, that I was just like annoyed, and I literally just like skimmed those 2 pages because like it just doesn't interest me. Like, I understand these 2 characters love each other more than they've ever loved anyone else. Like, I get that. I don't need to just like it is uninteresting to me to just keep reading about the romance of it. So I'm learning new things about myself because I didn't think I would have this reaction to it. But I did. I was like, I'm interesting. Because I don't know, I think of myself as like a romantic person. But I just don't like care to read about other people's romances, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so I opened up, so I'm going to start reading this book, right? Even though the size of it is really intimidating, I even looked to see like how much longer it is compared to the book I just finished. It's 175 pages longer. And I also said earlier in the video, this video, that I don't like to jump into a new book so quickly, but I'm just feeling it. I just want to jump in. I want to start reading a new book. And I think maybe it's because I enjoyed that book so much that I like want to continue on that. Whereas before, I'd like by the end of it, I was so ready for it to just be over, not because I wanted to know how it ended, but because I felt like it was too drawn out and I was just like, I'm sick of it. So then the energy I was left with was more boredom, I guess. Whereas now I'm like interested and invested and I want to start reading something. So I hope you know that as long as I am out of work because of my health, I am most likely just going to be talking about the books that I'm reading because I have all the time in the world to read. Okay. That last clip was on Wednesday. Today is Saturday. And I have not been doing anything other than reading. I have been doing a lot of reading and I love reading. It's been great, but also awful because I feel awful. And my hair is awful right now. I'm also a few days away from starting my period, so that's always a good time. But yeah, I'm just this year so far. Anyway, I have 1 week down. I have another week to go before I see a cardiologist, hopefully to start getting some answers on why I'm feeling as awful as I am. My hair looks really bad in this today. I did just wash it, like it's freshly washed and not styled at all. There's just so much hair. I look so much like my brother. Like when I look in the mirror, or when I look in the camera, all I see is my brother, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I love my brother. But that's all I see when I look in the mirror. My brother has darker hair though. His hair is redder than mine. Anyway, so we're also 2 days out from the full moon, which explains why I have had just crazy dreams. Crazy dreams. Just weird. Like, not even that crazy, but just really weird. Like, last night I dreamt of a boy that I knew in middle school. I have not talked to this kid since we were children. And in my dream last night, we were both adults and we met each other, like, out in the world. And I woke up this morning, I was like, what? Like, why did my brain randomly bring that random person from middle school into my dream? I also ate gelato in my dream, but it was like really expensive gelato. Like me and the other person I was with, not the middle school boy, but this woman I was with, I like paid for both of ours and the total was $23. And then I tipped $3 on top of that. Which, first of all, if it's $23, I should have tipped more than that. But that's besides the point. It was such expensive gelato. Why? And it wasn't even good. Like, as I was eating it, I was like, this is a weird texture. And they had really weird flavors. All I wanted, I was like, do you have coffee? A coffee flavor of some sort? Because that's like my favorite. Man, it's been so long since I've had coffee, ice cream in general. I haven't had ice cream in a very long time. Yeah, that was really expensive gelato. Why did I dream about gelato? I love dreams, but also sometimes I'm just like, what? Why? Why did I dream about really expensive and not very good gelato? You guys like my Malachite bracelet? It's new. Well, I got it like last week or sometime, but I don't think I've shown you. Malachite is the green one. The other one is a Picasso jasper that I've had for weeks, maybe a month or so. But the green one is malachite, and it's really quality malachite. It's grade A, which is really good malachite. I got it at my job. Like when it came in, I saw it. I was like, oh my god, I need that. That's it. I'm sorry. I don't know why I feel the need to apologize, as if I ever have entertaining vlogs. These are for me anyway. Anyway, be safe, be well. I hope you find ways to enjoy your life, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.